gardening project. After the holidays, I saw that a big box store had a lot of these dish gardens, and they were just tucked underneath in a dark shelf. Most of them looked pretty awful. I think they had been neglected. I'm not going to say which store it is because I've actually gotten some nice plants there, but I think that they buy a lot for the holidays and they end up with too much, and then they all end up dying. So I decided to buy this one, and I think it has a nice collection of plants. They're not in tip-top shape, but that's okay. I'm going to change it up and actually deconstruct this dish garden and make something prettier. I want to have the aloes by themselves, and then I think I'm going to use, I'm not sure what these are. These might be graptopetalums, but I do have some sedums also that I will put with it. I'm going to make a dish garden in this pot with different succulents, and like I said, I'm going to plant the aloes up by themselves. So now I have two different varieties of aloes. And then this one wasn't doing too well with some other items that kind of died off because I put them in a cold, darkish window. So I'm going to put that in there. But I'm going to deconstruct this one. And I really wanted to do a video on this because one of the things I wanted to show you was that the rocks are glued in. Now this is something really annoying and probably very bad for the plants that some of the growers do when they put together these gardens. They'll just squirt glue all over the rocks, and I don't even know how well the plants can get watered, but I'm going to remove those when I take this apart. And let's get busy deconstructing these things, and I'm hoping that I'll come out with a prettier dish garden and I can keep my aloes separate. We'll see what happens. It's probably going, my dish garden's probably going to need to have things added to it, but I'm going to get it started at the very least. So let's see what we got here. It says cactus. Even the tag for the succulents is kind of glued in there. It says cactus, but cactus and succulent dish garden. So really, I think all of these are classified as succulents, but let's go ahead and see what we can get out. I'm gonna take out this one. Like I said, I'm not sure what these are. I don't think they are echeverias. They have more of a flat leaf. I'm thinking they're graptopetalums, but we'll see. So already this is pretty challenging. All these rocks are glued together, so it's just an awful idea. Sometimes I think, you know, they just want it to last long enough in the store for somebody to buy it, and they really don't care about the future of the plant. So as you can see, it's really glued in there. I'm just going to throw those away. There's no point in reusing them with glue all over it, so those will go away. By the way, I'm using a boot tray underneath, and that is catching all of the mess that I'm making, and it's going to make a much easier cleanup. I think maybe I'm going to go around the edges here and see if I can loosen it up, maybe even turn it over. The last thing I want to do is damage these plants, but as you can see, they are totally stuck in there. But I think if I go ahead, it's actually a cute little planter, but I may use it for something later on if I can get it cleaned out, but not if it's covered with glue. And as you can see, this is quite difficult. When they squirt glue in here, it probably gets down into the soil as well. So let me try to, oh, it looks like I'm loosening up some of the plants. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out this aloe. And they're bone dry, which is actually okay this time of year. I will plant them up, and if you can see that, it's a lovely little aloe. I'll plant it up, and in about a week I'll water it a little bit. They do need a little bit of water in the winter time, but it's really better to err on the side of keeping it dry. So there's one little aloe that I've managed to dig out of this glue pit here. And here's another aloe. And I think that they're going to do much better in their own pot. They'll have some room to grow bigger roots. But, you know, for now it looks okay considering the abuse it's been through. Okay, so there's my first set of plants, and I'll be able to plant those up. Successfully removed. It didn't seem like I damaged it too much. This one is really trying to get away some of these rocks. This one is really in there. I do have a little teeny tiny shovel here. Okay. Second plant removed. I'm also taking the opportunity to remove some of the dead leaves that are underneath before I go ahead and plant those up. Okay, again, super dry. That's okay. We'll give it a drink in about a week. Make sure none of the roots are damaged. So that one's gonna be planted up right here. There we go. It's a cute little aloe vera. It's got teeth around the edges. Looks kind of scary. And I don't know if you saw when I took this out, but this one came out. So that one will go in my dish garden. And let me go ahead and take out the last one. And I am feeling much better about this. I actually got this about a week ago. And it's been on my to-do list. So that is a pretty teeny root ball. And I think it's going to do much better in some nice soil. Also without glue. So I have these two to pot up in my dish garden. And my sister gave me this sedum firestorm, which is going to go in the dish garden. And like I said, this sedum, which I actually don't know the name of, is also going to go in the dish garden. And I can add things later on, but that'll be a nice base for my dish garden. And all of this is actually going to get tossed. So it looks like terrible soil too. So I think I'll start by planting these up. It shouldn't take me too long here. All right. And I'm going to be using, let me see here. I'm going to be using a soil, hopefully you can see in there. It is a mix of cactus soil and a kind of a rich potting soil that I have, and a lot of vermiculite. I like to put a lot of vermiculite in there. So this is a little trick I like to do. I'm sure I'm not the only one that does it, but I put a little piece of coffee filter in the bottom of the pot before I pour the dirt in. This helps the soil stay in when you're watering. You don't have soil coming out of the bottom. And by the time it biodegrades, the roots itself will go ahead and hold that soil in. So for now, just a little trick to keep things neat later on when we're watering. So I put a little soil in there. I'm gonna pop my aloe veras in. These are really pretty. And these will be happy for a year or two in this size pot. So I just took it away from the camera for a minute to pot that in there. And I got some soil. In about a week's time, I'll give it a little drink. And that way, if it has any healing to do from the potting, looks a little bit full, but I think that soil is going to settle in there. So the first one is potted up from my deconstruction. And I'm going to take a little brush and get the soil out of the leaves. This is a good thing to have on hand when you're potting things up. You don't want that soil to sit in there. It could remain wet and damage your leaves. So this one's all done. I'm going to put it aside. Okay, and here's for this crazy little guy. Going to go ahead, give it a little filter here. soil in there. And they're cute. As you can see, it's making actually 3 little pups are shooting off the side of this plant. So hopefully those will do really nicely here, living by themselves in this pot. Just gonna put a little soil in there. Okay, we're all set here. Bring it back into the shot. And once I water these, the soil will settle into it as well. So I'm just gonna brush off the dirt here, and that'll be good to go. Alrighty. And here we go. Another one finished. Once you water it too and the roots take hold, they'll sit in there really nicely. Okay, and then I'm going to bring over this big pot. And this pot, I'm just going to put a whole coffee filter down at the bottom there. This pot's going to need a lot more plants than what I'm putting in, but this will be a good start. So let me pretty much fill it with soil. And if you can see, there's a lot of vermiculite in here. I mixed in cactus soil. It's going to be a really nice draining mix. So for now, let me start taking these out. Again, I've been keeping this dry. Let me set that in there. I'm going to pull these guys out. I think I'm going to put the taller ones in the back. I'll put this one here. These are really dry. These, I actually have to admit, I abused them myself. I really didn't think about the window I was putting them in, and it turned out to be really cold. I think rather than disturb their roots, there was nothing wrong with the soil. It was just the amount of sunlight they were getting. And it was also really quite cold in the spot I chose to put it in when I brought it in for the winter. But I'm going to put this one here. I think I need a little more soil. Let me put some fresh soil in there. We may fill this up actually. This might be a good amount of plants for this. I thought maybe it could use a little more. But, oh, sorry, you knocked your view here. All right, there we go. Sorry for the rough ride there. But I think this is going to be really quite a nice amount of plants here. And we'll just put those in. So let's think about this. I think the big one should go here and the smaller one should go in the front. So let's go ahead and pop that in over here. And they don't mind being crowded. They can be planted right up next to one another. They just don't need, their roots aren't huge and they just don't need a lot of room. This is plenty of room in this big pot. I'm going to go ahead and put this one here. Oh, we have another sedum over here. I'll pop this one in the middle. That'll grow tall. Pop that in there. And I'm just making sure that there's contact around the plants with all the soil. I can put some of this on top. A little bit of the rocky soil. And I'm sorry, let me just do that for you. I keep bumping the tripod. Okay, so we got that in there. Have those in there. Everything's surrounded and tucked in. Okay, and I'm gonna put this little guy up front. He's pretty puny right now, but I think he's gonna be much better off. We'll move him forward. And once I water it in about a week, I think it's going to settle things down, settle the soil in there, and the plants can really grow around it. There we go. And they're going to be much healthier and happier. I have them in a warm place now, and we'll see how these do in combination with each other. These plants tend to do really well together in the same type of dish garden. You do have to put plants together that like the same conditions. So these are all succulents, and I think they're going to be kept a bit dry as far as winter time. And even in the summer, you do want to let them get dried out. The soil, you want the soil to dry out, not the plants, but you want things to get dry before you water them again. And it looks like we have a casualty, but actually I'll just lay it on top. It might actually send out another little plant. The conditions are right. And guys, I think we have it. That looks much better in here. I hope you can take a look at that. Let me move it back here. So I put the tall part in the back, and I put the other ones in front, and I have separated out these nice aloes into their own pot so they can thrive in there. And that's it for the deconstruction. I hope you've enjoyed this, and one thing I've learned is you can always redo dish gardens as things do well. Sometimes they overgrow things, sometimes they die off, but you can always deconstruct them, put them together with other things, add things in, but it's kind of a ever-changing combination of plants, and that's really fun to have gardening projects. So thanks for tuning in. This was a really long video, but I feel like I got a lot done, and I hope you like the results as much as I do. Thanks for watching.